Well, here I am. Well, I'm George Myhall. This is the Office of Image Archaeology, and I just wanted to tell you Happy Halloween. That brings me to costumes and other things. Over the last few years, I kind of got into Halloween. I enjoyed it, and I did my own horror makeup. I was always a zombie. I went normally as a zombie, and then once I went as a uh, Chicago gangster with my mall, which would be my wife, and then and I'm going to show you some of that. And then I got into actually building or making props out of mannequin heads using silicone and spray foam and old paint and stuff I had around. I didn't go out and buy anything in particular, just stuff I had laying around, and made some interesting Halloween props for out of mannequin heads. And then I'm going to show you several years of different films that I have, home film, 16 millimeter stuff of Halloween, going back as far as 1945. And you'd be surprised, as much as things have changed, they've pretty much stayed the same, except uh, uh, some of the stuff that's not quite PC anymore, politically correct anymore. But either way, it's interesting stuff. So, without further ado, the first thing we're going to look at here is a photograph of me, and this is one of my first Halloween zombie effects, and I had this old suit, and I tore it up pretty good, and that's fake blood, of course, and I'm wearing a wig because I've been bald since I was in my 40s, early 40s, and so. The next one, there's another version of me, and that's my gorgeous wife there. She's my an Indian here, of course, you can see that, and she's pretty squeamish about zombie stuff, and of course my mannequin head that I did there. That's funny. I don't remember seeing that one. That's odd. I have photographs here of a bunch of them, and I don't remember seeing that one in a lot. At any rate, so here I am. That's the same version, same Halloween, but a little bit earlier that evening. Here's one of my first mannequin heads. Really, it's one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that. And that's Little Red. And so this is Little Red Riding Hood. And somebody was off with her head. And I had that old basket I bought at a Goodwill, and so I decided to use that. And here's a clown. Somebody just dressed up as a clown, and somebody out there didn't like that. And so, of course, off with his head. And of course, all of these have to be off with the head because that's all I got is a head, mannequin head. So, and then that one right there, I'm not sure what I'm doing there, other than that her eye is been plucked out pretty much, and then I'm not sure what's coming out of her mouth there, and that's pretty gory stuff. I did that a few years ago, so I don't remember exactly what was in my mind. This guy right here again, he had his head chopped off, and you can see the basket his head rolled into. Again, something I found at Goodwill. So I did spend a little bit of money, but probably no more than about $5 a piece. So, whoa, getting a little farther ahead of the game here. And then we had let me see here, and this is some Halloween props that we actually I
Get him going again. Can I do it the long way? See him?
You can do it. Yeah. Just do it in the video.
See him?
Kind of interesting. Oh, and then it goes into Halloween. Let me see what year this is. This is 1954, and so 1954. This is. I'm sorry, it's 45. Dyslexic today. Being a bull has messed you up, George. And this is Chicago, Illinois, in 1945, and Got some pirates here. And, one of the things I really notice is that when it comes to Halloween, it seems like most children want to dress up as adults, and most adults want to dress up as children. Um, kind of a a weird thing. I'm not even going to say what that is, but you can see it there. That's what I'm saying. It's not exactly what you call politically correct, but this is Chicago, 1945, and those folks weren't exactly politically correct there. In fact, they were downright. I'm not even going to say the word. So, at any rate, so this is a grammar school thing, and there are our ghosts. They're dressed up as ghosts, and that guy, and there was a lot of interesting, not quite politically correct stuff going on in 1945, in 1946, and again later on in I think it's 1957 or 54 or something. But it's the world being what it is. You can't really, we've changed. The world has changed. You wouldn't see any of this these days. I mean, if you did, there'd be people screaming all over the place, and probably some folks that's winding up in jail. I guess I don't know. It's gotten to that point. But yeah, this was going this is going a little bit too far. But again, it was acceptable back then. They've got some other interesting costumes there, and you got to keep in mind that most of these people made these costumes themselves. They come up with their own stuff. Mom, Dad would help them out. Mom would do the sewing, and Dad other different things. I remember when I was a kid, my mom making costumes for us, helping make costumes for us. This one's in color, and both of these films were in really bad condition, and there was a lot of work that had to be done just to make them so that they can be seen at all. And I slowed them down somewhat because they just go so fast you couldn't really see what was going on in them. I'm not sure what that guy is. He looks like somebody from India or Arabia or some part of the world. Of course, we've got our cowboys, and there's a bum back there. Queen, I guess. That's a pirate, I think, on one side. Donald Duck. That's kind of cool. Donald Duck. I like the head. Now, I imagine that was probably purchased. I don't think that. I don't think you could make that. It'd be pretty hard back then at home to make that. So, paper mache maybe, but that'd be pretty heavy. So, yeah, it's a Donald Duck, and Fu Manchu. Again, I'm not sure that that's politically correct anymore. In fact, I'm almost sure that this is not politically correct these days. You can't be a patriot. That's a bad thing. So, again, we're dealing with a lot of really horrible things here. Well, that's right there. We know what that is, and again, it's not something I'm going to talk about, but you can see it there. You got a nice clown, jester, maybe a jester. And again, we got things we're not going to talk about, but you can see it there, and especially that right there. Ghosts. We have ghosts, people dressed up in white sheets as ghosts. And a witch. That's kind of like the woman that went ahead and I talked to out front, but she wasn't wearing no peaked hat, but she sure... yeah, and that's that message. I should have read that, but it went by too quick. I like that one right there. I like that costume a lot. I think that's very cool, very imaginative. The Thin Man or Stick Man, or definitely Halloween. And again, things we're going to ignore. Politically incorrect. And there's teacher. She's out there, keeping track of everybody. And making sure everybody's in good shape and got their costumes together. And that's an interesting costume there, clown looking thing. That guy's kind of scary. And a cowboy again. And of course, the politically incorrect patriots and those that are behind them. Yeah, it just everything's politically correct these days. So incorrect these days. Some of it, truly, rightly so. Yeah, the spinster. And it's 1952. These horns really itch. And this is what I was saying. The adults want to look like children, a lot of them, and the children want to look like adults. And just yeah, there we go. Something we're not going to talk about again. She got her face a little dirty there, and all of her really. Boy, oh boy, this is it's really cool because you're seeing. I mean, these are fairly wealthy people, and this is a Halloween party for a bunch of fairly wealthy people. Back in the day. Let's see here. Yeah, that's still recording, so we're good. Twins? No. Housekeepers. And they very well could actually be housekeepers, or maybe they're portraying their housekeepers. I don't know. There you go, that guy. And that guy in the back, I think I don't know what his costume is all about. I like the blue polka dots. I think those are pretty cool dresses. There you go. There's another guy pretending to be a child. And a guy portraying to be a scout leader, maybe, or a Boy Scout, one or the other. These days, people pay good money to dress up like children and, well, forget it. We're not going to go there. Yeah, honestly, these horns itch. Oh, my ear. Ah, there's Will Rogers, and I have Scott Grammer to thank for that, because I couldn't remember the doggone guy's name. And we're going into 1957 now. And this is another Halloween party from the same crowd. And they're having a good old time there. You got, looks like you tend to get a lot of bums in this one, or, people dressed up as bums, what we call homeless these days. And we got a patriot down there. Of course, all of her glasses. And the coat. It looks like a raccoon coat. There's all kinds of stuff going on there, and I think that was the same guy in the last party that portrayed Will Rogers. Because a lot of these people are going to be the same, from the same crowd. And we got a sheriff from the south there. And it's 1964, and this is a gentleman by the name of Barry Garland that recorded this, and Barry Garland was a cameraman for Channel 3 reports here in Sacramento back in the 60s. This is his family, or this is his residence. That's his you can see it says Garland up there, the Garlands, and this Mrs. Garland. I'm not sure who the children are. I don't know what his children's names are, and you'll recognize that's one of his children right there, I believe. Barry Garland did a lot of work all over the place, but primarily my interest in the guy was his interest in recording old railroad footage. I mean, he did a lot of that. I have a lot of railroad footage on my YouTube channel here, and most of it can be attributed to Mr. Barry Garland. I've made posted versions of this a couple different times, and I was not able to get any hits on it from the Garland family at all. So I don't know if they're around at all anymore. I bought like 6 very large boxes of 16mm film belonging to him at a secondhand store one day, and so I have to assume that, you know, these boys are no longer around, or they just didn't care, because otherwise they'd have had it, I'm pretty sure. I love going. My mom had a bowl just like that one when I was a kid, and undoubtedly it was probably full of candy, although I don't remember for sure. But I do recognize a lot of these brands, a lot of the packages from back then, and that's pretty cool. And again, there's another one in here that's politically incorrect. Yeah, it's raining outside right now, and we'll see how Halloween works out. Quite a deluge out here today. I almost always have my sliding glass door open unless I'm recording something really important, and this is not that. So, yeah, see, there's a lot of the old packaging that, if you're in your 60s like I am, you recognize. Pretty cool. So, I guess, you know, this is the end of it. I just want to say Happy Halloween to everybody, and Thanksgiving's coming up, and Christmas and all that. But for Halloween, hey, you know, take care of yourself, take care of your family. There's a lot of weirdness going on out there in this world these days. Watch your back, and watch your kids, for crying out loud. Take care of them, because it's not the same world that we grew up in. Something's happened, and it's profound. But happier times, you know, soon rather than later, I hope. Anyway, happy Halloween, and have a great happy Halloween. Bye bye.